Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Armored Warfare replay brought to you by your old buddy, Don't Fear the Reaper. Today's replay is also going to be accompanied with a tank review. The tank that we're going to be looking at is the T92 Tier 2 Premium Light Tank, the little tank that almost. And we'll understand why I titled this that as we look at the vehicle and we look at the replay. So, looking at the T92, this is a vehicle that was developed by the U.S. Army in the mid-late 50s as a replacement for the M41 Walker Bulldog, which is a regular Tier 2 light tank in armored warfare. And the reason that they wanted to replace the M41 is that the M41 was a bit of a gas hog with limited operational range, but more importantly, it came in at 23.5 tons, which made it difficult for late 50s transport aircraft to carry and pretty much impossible for it to be airdropped. And those were two things that the airborne divisions and the light divisions were very keen on having. So a competition was established, and the two main competitors to replace the M41 were the T71 and the T92. And the T92, for most of the time, was the leading contender. The crews that tested it were very favorably disposed towards it. The vehicle has a 76 millimeter gun, very similar qualities to the M41. Has a 50 caliber machine gun and a 7.62 millimeter machine gun with a crew of 4. And another interesting little design note is the back of the vehicle here was an escape hatch. And this design wound up being used later on by the Israelis in the Merkava. So, taking a look at the stat line, the first thing I did was I pulled my retrofits off, and then I was looking at a commander that had the least impact on these stats, and I found him, Ionis Sana. So I have finally found a use for Ionis Sana. He is good for looking at tanks for the purposes of reviewing their base stat lines because he doesn't impact them. So looking at that, the damage output is 198. The penetration is 129 millimeters, which is respectable. It carries both heat and armor piercing. Of course, at Tier 2, your heat rounds are most effective. I only carry a couple of armor piercing rounds in case I run into a T54 that doesn't want to give me his weak spot. The posted damage per minute is 2,325. Its reload time is 5.11 seconds. Its hit points are 840, which is about 100 less than its non-premium counterpart, the M41. Its max speed is 72 kilometers per hour. It can go from 0 to 32 kilometers per hour in 3.53 seconds, which is very respectable. Hull traverse is 38.86. Has a very good camo rating, which you might expect for such a low silhouette vehicle. View range is very respectable at Tier 2, 385. This is an issue. Cannon depression, minus 3.5. That is terrible. And it's my biggest beef with this tank. And it's not so much that it's not representative of the historical vehicle. My complaint is this is the lowest tier premium tank in the game. So one assumes that it was brought in for new players primarily. And this terrible gun depression makes this tank not easy to play, which makes it new player unfriendly. So I think they would have been better served bringing a more new player friendly tank in as their first premium vehicle. But that's just me. The accuracy spread is 0.11. The aim time is 0.233 seconds. And its turret traverse is 39.54. So from a pure stat line, this is a very, very good, very reasonable tank with the exception of its gun depression for Tier 2. As a light tank, as one might expect, it has virtually no armor at all. I mean, 10 millimeters in the back. At the strongest is 32. On the sides, it's 19 millimeters. Basically, you want to follow the teachings of Miyagi from the Karate Kid as regards this vehicle. No get heat. So that's a look at the vehicle from the garage viewpoint. So let's see how this thing plays. So I got a couple of guys from my battalion together. Because one of the other problems with a Tier 2 premium tank is, as the game stands right now, it can be challenging to get in a Tier 2 game. Not that many people are playing the low tiers. Now, hopefully that will change when my.com gets a little closer to releasing the game and actually does some marketing to bring some fresh blood into the game. But for right now, that can be an issue, something to bear in mind before you part with your 650 gold. So we are here on the quarterback map, and because of my gun depression, I can't do what I normally do, which is run up to that rock I'm heading towards, use it for cover. Because of the angle of the hill, I don't think I'm going to be able to aim at the enemy bots out in the field. So I'm going to count on the fact that this is a low tier game and people don't have super high view ranges. And I'm going to push a little forward because up here is a little flat area where I can better overcome the crappy gun depression and support the tanks that are fighting out in mid-map. So at this point, I'm just banging on tanks and supporting the main effort out in the middle of the map. So those tanks were all behind ridge lines. I couldn't get at them, so I decided I'm going to try. But then I get surprised by this M113. But fortunately, the 132 millimeter front armor sloped is able to deflect most of the autocannon rounds, so that's good. But now I'm going to try something that I don't think is going to work. I am going to try something that I can do very easily in an M41, which is come over here and work this ridge line and attack the bots that are guarding the cap. And of course, that does not work worth a darn. I have to get completely off the ridge in order to fire my gun. So
That should slow them down for a while.
that answers that question, and I buck, because that is not going to work. That's just going to get me dead. So I decide I'm going to go and try the other side of the plant, because there's a little hill that would be easier to work I'm running over there. Of course, now this cost me a fair amount of damage and experience and reputations, but it was a good, noble sacrifice in the name of science. We needed to know that the other tactic didn't work, and now we know. So I get up here right at the very end. I get a couple of shots in. This is the place to go in a T92 on the cavalry map towards the end of the game once you've cleared out the field. So I managed to make up a little lost ground sitting up here. And I'm thinking about coming down and going after that PT-76 when a couple of bots pop up out of the field. And so I decided to go and help with that effort. Take a look to see if I can snipe. I get rid of the one tank that I can snipe. And then I decide to help the rest of the team go after the other ones. Fortunately, by the time that I get here, they've pretty well cleaned house. But I do get a chance to put the kibosh on that M113 with a little drive-by. Swing back for these other two tanks. But my platoon mates are already there. My expectation is they're going to take care of them before I get there, and they do. So there's still another bot somewhere because the game hasn't ended. Oh, and he's a T-54. Trying to come up and take the cap. So I pop out. Happily for me, he's facing the other way, and I take him out. So good stuff. And despite the fact that I took that little detour to check out the one side of the plant, I did manage to come in third in this match, so all good stuff. So, at the end of all this, what's my opinion of the T92? I would have to give it, as of today, a marginal thumbs down. And again, mostly because it's less player friendly than I think the introductory premium tank should be, and because of the state of the game right now, it can be challenging to get into a game with this because there aren't that many people playing Tier 2. Your mileage may vary. At 650 gold, it's not a heavy investment. And if you're a tank collector like me, I'm beyond that. I am a total preemie whore. Then you just got to have it. But for those who are basing their decisions on more practical concerns, I think you would be better served going up and looking at some of the Tier 3 premium vehicles. So I hope you guys got a little something out of this. These replays and this review. I certainly enjoyed bringing it to you. And until next time, happy tanking.